Today's matchup: Afreeca Freecs, KT Rolster, BBQ Olivers, Griffin, The Fantastic Run.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another day of OGN LCK Summer Split action. I am Achilleos, back on the desk after so damn long, joined by the ever-present Papa Smithy. He's here every day. I finally get my go. I get my, I think Max said Elton John. I'm going for Liberace, I think, with this jacket. I get to try it on. It's going well. It's good to be back, guys. How you been? You can't answer. Got some good matches. I'm going to start off with KT Rolster going up against the Afreeca Freecs. Big headline match.
To me, it's the two strongest teams that have played so far in the league. I think it's apologies to Gen G. They finally have gelled together. They've had 4 great games, but KT and Afreeca look strong. I actually think it's Afreeca's day. I know that's a hard thing for a lot of people to hear, but their drafting was looking great at the end of spring. Not so great in the final. That won the Kai'Sa. That abandoned them a little bit.
Giving
but
that away
in general,
every time.
that was their strength. This is a drafting time. When the meta is in disarray, when the papers are all over the place, you need a good drafting coach. Zephyr, who of course represented Korea over in Hong Kong as the drafting coach for the national team, is a very smart man. So I have confidence in Afreeca, but KT Rolster, they've got the stars. They looked great in their first series against Jin Air. Who's to say they can't pick up the win?
Well, the other question is going to be who's starting here for the side of KT Rolster. We saw Rush in both of those games versus Jin Air. Will we change things up? I think we're going to see a bit of a swap coming through. You want that veteran status when you have an opponent such as the Afreeca Freecs. But you can see right now, Afreeca and KT Rolster are going to be tied for that third place spot at the moment, just having played 1 match each.
Well, we get a 2-match series, because if we do, then the winner will be top for this weekend, as they would go 2-0 and be +4 game score. Griffin and Gen G are the trendsetters here. Top 4 right now. I think everyone can nod their heads and say these are the strong teams. Kingzone still have stuff to work out. Yep. Down the bottom, of course, BBQ and SKT on struggle streak. We will see BBQ today. They will be hoping not to go 0-6 in their first 6 games.
Yeah, right now, SKT starting things off a bit like we've seen it in the past, bottoming out, going down towards that relegation zone. We know it's SK Telecom, Coma's there, Faker's still there. They have the tools necessary to get climbing up those standings, but we'll go ahead and take a look at the Afreeca Freecs and the starting roster here. See who's going to be playing. I've already seen Aiming quite a bit, but today it will be Kramer starting in the bot lane there with Tucson.
Aiming had a decent start, wasn't necessarily able to show his true colors, but of course it didn't matter. The victory was still assured, so nice to see the veteran in Kramer. More known for mixing up his builds than necessarily his champions, but who's to say where the meta will go? Weird and wonderful as the first week of LCK Summer been. Spirit on his Nocturne was popping off last time out. Potential ban for KT Rolster.
Let's see if they want to take that one away. As Spirit, fantastic start to the season here, has been starting over Mowgli. We haven't seen him yet, and today is his 500-day anniversary as a pro player, so maybe we'll get to see him if Afreeca can very cleanly take game 1, but it seems highly likely that Spirit is just going to be sticking all the way through this series.
You can tell a lot about dating culture that we have 500-day anniversaries for the debut of a pro player. So there's some free information if you ever meet a lovely Korean, as we move over to the side of 5 more lovely Koreans. But is there going to be a kind Korean in the starting lineup? That is always the question for the global fans.
And
well, it's all about history. Score, who did represent Korea over at the Asia Games, is back. The only player who played in the first ever OGN tournament. That was over 6 years ago. He is still around. This, of course, the final season for OGN. 16 seasons later, he's still there.
Not to say the score isn't kind. He's quite the nice person. But yeah, veteran status starting up against the Afreeca Freecs so that KT can try to clinch that first place spot with a 2-0 victory here. That is going to be the goal. They want to start things off quite strongly. KT always been the team that's falling short right at the finish line. They don't want that to happen again. It's summer. The buff is here.
And one of their bogeys is no longer up the top. That's SKT. The other one, Kingzone, of course, beat them easily in spring season. They are also struggling as we have some graphs for you. OGN never changed. The 6 KDA graph has been overturned. I'm surprised they found out how to do shading for Keen and Smeb. They're both perfect.
I mean, what more can you say?
This is
it's
as
glorious.
indicative as ever. It almost seems like a pride symbol going on over
They're
here.
just real good.
Yep, everybody is good. Guys, we have great players playing today, great teams. Oh boy.
It's going to be a doozy. Exciting to see that mid lane matchup, especially. You can see Kuro has had quite the series. Yukal, will he get on something more aggressive, or is he going to have to play the supportive style to score in the jungle?
I'm just saying, if people ask you about KT and Afreeca, I would tell them it's going to be off the charts. And the charts agree, apparently. It's a two-way conversation. Speaking of two-way conversations, it hasn't been a walkover for Afreeca over KT in the past, but the last result was the biggest one. That was, of course, the semi-final of the LCK, Afreeca versus KT. KT Rolster, whether it was Rush, whether it was Score, they couldn't get it done, and Afreeca Freecs with Yasuo on Kuro were too strong.
Yeah, that was April 8th, so it's been quite some time since these guys have squared off. And KT certainly going to be seeking revenge for not being in that grand final, though I don't know if they would have fared any better against Kingzone given the level of performance we saw from them there in that final. But key position, of course, is going to be the top laners here, Keen and Smeb. Both of them really making heavy arguments for who is the best top laner in Korea.
And neither of them have died, so the first kill, if it was a solo kill, be oh so sweet. Smeb has been the Korean top laner for years now. Khan, of course, runs him close, but Smeb has been a classic ever since the LCK era started in 2015, whereas Keen, he's the one representing over in Korea. A lot of people say it should have been Smeb. Keen came out and dumpstered on Aatrox a couple of days ago. Keen is building and building strong. The gathering storm of Keen is about to hit critical mass. Can Smeb take off another challenger and show that old is gold on this day?
They're certainly going to be trying. The Aatrox going to be something that KT is going to have to be aware of. Have that in the forefront of their brains when it comes down into that pick and ban. Do they just ban it away? Do you leave it up? Does Smeb have something prepared for that pick? I don't know.
And what do the fans think? It's going to be a close one, you'd have to say. And
wow.
Look at this.
Almost.
We run it very, very close. KT have the bigger fan base, but Afreeca's not too far behind in fan base and in percentage. I'd probably be 60-40 Afreeca, but certainly no more. KT Rolster looked good in their opening win. They played standard and they played new meta with the Bruise brothers. Everything is possible, and this is a must-watch match. To me, this is a preview of the LCK Grand Final.
Well, bold claims right there.
We're
Papa
in week
Smith,
one. We've got limited data.
Yeah.
This is my opinion.
All right. Well, you've heard it here. Make the Reddit post. Call him out. Save this clip and tweet it back at Papa Smithy when this is not the grand final.
I'm all about it. I'm going to be on every day. There's plenty of things to throw at me and say, well, you were wrong. I said a lot of things.
Just going to change your opinion every single day.
How about some new stuff for you, Achilles? We've got the AR.
I know. Everything's new. I've just been watching from home. Haven't cast since, I believe, the 19th of April during the promotion tournament where we welcomed Griffin into the LCK. We'll see them in our second match.
And I've been counting down the days to your return. In the negative.
Just dreading
it.
It's the
every
doomsday
moment.
timer, I see.
Yep. The impeding dread. That's just
well.
what happened there. Speaking of dread.
Enough about bashing me. Let's go ahead and take a look at the bans. Aurelia, Alistar taken away by the Afreeca Freecs. KT covering that second one, but Talia off the charts.
And when it comes to the priorities, it's going to be very interesting to track. Spirit's Nocturne had to be respected. In the last series, he had the best Nocturne performance we've seen so far, and it's a potential first pick when it comes to the meta. Zoe is the mid laner after Aurelia that draws the most ire. The Vladimir flex pick, a very common first pick, is taken away. Shen, Nocturne, Zoe. Those are the picks I'm most looking at, and wow, okay, so a lot of respect shown for Score's Xin. Score in solo queue hasn't been revealing too much, like a little bit of everything. He won't be on the Xin this time, so Camille is a first pick potential, especially with the Nocturne banned away. I would expect the Camille flex pick, and for it to be for Spirit.
First one here in the court of Afreeca, and as you call it, it's going to be the Camille getting locked in very swiftly. Not much of a second thought about that one. KT, though, given the meta, still so much available. Things like the Shen that has been so prevalent out of the bot lane
We're
available.
getting trends though, so like Lulu Shen would be a pretty normal first round. Yukal showed us on-hit, aggressive Lulu that we were a big fan of last time out. So Lulu's the champion I'm thinking of, but okay, we're going new school. If you look over at the LPL, which is running now, guys, if you want something else to watch or a multi-twitch, a lot of bot lane Swain. In Korean solo queue also bot lane Swain, usually into the Vladimir matchup.
Yeah.
But it is a flex pick Swain. Yukal, I called him Daddy Yukal for his amazing Swain performance himself, so it's potential for a flex pick here. Smeb has played it in top as well.
Yeah, and then the Trundle almost certainly going to be in the jungle there for score. We were talking before the game, she thought maybe the Graves was going to be a big pickup for him. There's an outside chance that does get flexed down to the bottom lane in a support role. We'll have to see what they want to do. And we basically have to wait until all 5 characters are selected on both sides before we can really even determine where these picks are going. But Shen will be locked in for the Afreeca Freecs, so it didn't take too long for him to pop back up.
Does very well in double bruiser lane. That's why it's so high priority, and of course top lane situation if you want it. Very good engage, or not quite Nocturne Shen. That's the gold standard, but it's going to be parted, you'd say, in almost every draft. Camille Shen is still plenty of engage, and we could be seeing a potential duo lane. The Darius is locked in. Flex pick Darius as well. Shen Darius, we called the Ornn Mordekais of the Bruise Bros. I think Shen Darius are definitely up there as well.
A lot of protection there with the Stand United. The Darius can just charge straight through. We'll have to see, of course, where that one's going to go. We saw Faker playing in bot. He played it in mid. He couldn't really make up his mind, and the Observer couldn't keep up.
Do you just lock a Mundo here and say that's a lot of tanks he could lane against, or do you take the Mordekaiser to make it a real Bruise Bros
They
lane?
do.
This could be a mid lane Mordekaiser, could be a bot lane Mordekaiser as well. Unlikely to be top, but all right, we've got just flex going on in the first round, and Afreeca are on blues, so they're the ones that are going to have to reveal more information. Do you just lock in 2 more flex picks and say, what you going to do?
If it's a Mord Swain bot lane, that sounds utterly disgusting.
It could definitely be a more.
You can't walk up. It's just so much poke.
So let's talk about what's strong when bruisers are involved. Alistair Fiddlesticks are the big supports that we see. Alistair's banned. Fiddlesticks for the fear is actually very important in bruiser lanes. We saw the Tahm Kench banned. Tahm Kench is very strong against bruisers as well because he actually gets the 3-stack passive up a lot more easily. Will we see a Fiddlesticks ban or a Fiddlesticks first pick on red side? That is a very likely thing with the bruisers.
Rakan, final ban out to
Tucson.
KT.
Tucson, of course,
Yeah.
will draw the Respect Rakan ban once again. He was just out of this world. On Rakan last time out, MVP performance. Final ban here. Again, there's so much flex going on. There's not really anything you need to ban power-wise. It's more what works against the 3 bruisers that you already put in. So I would like to see a Fiddlesticks here from Afreeca, but that's going to ban Ornn. And it was, of course, Mord Ornn as a full duo lane from Mata and Depth last time out. So just going with the recency, what does that mean when it comes to support picks? We're going to be seeing from KT.
How often does Mata practice?
Oh,
I was going
baby.
to say, how often does he practice his Fiddlesticks? But we know that the Thresh has always been a big pickup here for Mata. We'll lock that one in.
Mata had at least 2 highlight moments every game he played Thresh in Spring. He was outstanding on the pick. It's not the Fiddlesticks reliability. Speaking of reliability, Kane has played both games so far this season on Aatrox.
Yep.
He's unsure who he's facing, but if he's blinding Aatrox, that's a pretty big story. Now, Kramer could play it in the bot lane as well. There has been some bot lane carry Aatrox around, but expect it to be Keen.
Yep.
In the top side, how about a 5th bruiser? Where are we going? What about a Singe just randomly? Let's do it. Come on, Afreeca.
Singe support. Flex that Shen somewhere else.
I need a
The
5th
time with
bruiser.
this one.
No range, please. None of those dirty range champions.
If only Mundo was still on the table.
Hey,
Okay.
Hey, what are you doing?
This is interesting.
You know who's really strong against bruisers? Anivia, because the wall separates the bruisers. Just kind of want to walk in 100 range each. Very nice. Okay, so 3 bruisers on the enemy side. Thresh could kind of fall in there as well. And Kuro is going to basically blind the Anivia, hoping it's against Swain, where you'd have a very nice matchup. All right.
And a Malphite.
Yep, it's going to be a top lane Malphite, most likely. Okay, Malphite versus Aatrox.
Swain versus Anivia.
Yep. Okay, so it ended up a little bit more standard than you might imagine, although
Darius
is
bot.
going to be in the bot. So Darius Shen does end up being the bot lane against Thresh Mordekaiser. It was like, if Mordekaiser can keep his passive up, he'd have some fun in this lane, but Darius Avalon chase down, and Shen excels in lanes like this. Anivia versus Swain is a good matchup for the Anivia in the mid lane. Top lane, I think Aatrox will need some time against the Malphite, but the big wild card is how's Spirit feeling? Because if he gets going on the Camille, Haru's already shown us a preview of how much that champion can do.
Well, well, well. My first foray into 8.11.
This is pretty damn 8.11.
This is, yeah, about as good as it gets. I feel like I'm going back to my roots. Start off with, high school Star League, all of these silvers and golds playing against each other. It kind of feels that way. Man, that's a nice zoom on that forehead.
Well, chat knows what to spam as we're waiting to get the right graphics over here. Come on, we want to see them all. Maybe we'll just look at them a bit closer. Spirit has a very nice haircut this season.
Fresh.
Looking fresh. He was looking a bit weathered by the end of spring season. Seemed like the long season had gotten to him. But definitely seems locked and loaded for this particular season. And this man has already shown that he is quite the force. I'm very excited for the top lane. Aatrox versus Malphite. We think we know what to expect, but Malphite was the big story from Afreeca in spring season.
Well, I hear that music. It's been quite some time. I'm ready to get in game. These guys are as well, and I'm sure you guys watching at home are ready to see this clash. Afreeca Freecs versus KT Rolster. Papa Smithy's calling it the grand final already. Thinks it's going to happen. Maybe it will. Only time will tell. We're still in week 1, but either way, this match is damn exciting, and I am ready to jump into it, even though it seems like there might be a slight delay.
Yeah, I see the Korean casters. They're still chatting. We're waiting for Caster John to go full Korean hype man.
I was so ready.
Can't be long from now.
I was on top of it. I was ready to go to jump straight in, but of course, when I show up, there's got to be some kind of issue to stop us. Seems like it's with Yukal's computer.
Well, we need his computer in full working order. Daddy Yukal on the Swain that I gave him that nickname for. I'm hoping he gets going, because when he gets going, he's turret diving aplenty.
Been a lot of turret diving. No Mundo this time around, so not going to be seeing that consistent dive. Is my ult up? Okay, I'm going in over and over again like we saw just yesterday. But still, as you said, very 8.11 here with these compositions coming through. Would have liked to see it. I thought maybe we were going to see the Pike for a second there. Mata flashed it. I would have liked to have seen it in his hands.
I'm going to look forward to watching your stamina in these bruiser team fights, because no one's dying fast, Kilios. These fights are going to go a long time.
You know what? I think I can handle it. Looks like Yukal might be ready to go. We might be able to actually jump into the game here at long last. Let's go ahead, guys. Game 1, Afreeca versus KT Rolster. Well, it was nice while it lasted. So Tucson has disconnected, so we're just going to get him back in. Yeah, that's, you're not supposed to disconnect before the next explodes, so.
He just got frustrated. His Rakan was banned. He's like, what's this crap? Come on.
Gotta play Shen. He's only got one dash. Rakan's got so many.
And there is an enemy ranged champion, and that is Shen's Bane in the bot lane. Now it is Thresh, who's really much more about getting down and dirty in close range rather than keeping his range the entire time. But it is Mata's Thresh. Of course, perhaps the most legendary Thresh player of them all, with Mad Life on the sidelines for now at least. Sounds like we're getting the update from Joel, who's here for translation today. He's also in our headsets, letting us know that the game should be resuming soon.
Should be getting right back into this one. We'll see if we get any early antics coming out from either side. Right now, just going to be pretty standard, the 5-point across the river.
See, on the top of the OGNE Stadium, plenty of fans. It is 5 p.m., so people slowly filtering here on a lazy Saturday afternoon. Hopefully going to have a full house for two very popular teams. As KT have decided, they want to know exactly where Spirit is starting.
Yeah, Ward going to go down. It's one of those days where it's hard to actually choose whether or not you want to come in and watch some League of Legends here, because it's just so damn nice outside. Go out, have a picnic, perhaps.
I don't have many choices in my schedule
That's
these days, Achilleos. I get to decide what to do on Mondays. I am one of the few people that loves Mondays.
If you decide to not show up, then that is going to really complicate things for all of us.
You know, I think the other 5 days of my working week might be the price of not showing up on one day. So, you know, that's how things go. So we wanted to give you a bit of info on what sort of runes Yukal's on. It's actually our first unsealed spellbook of the season, and it is a new unsealed spellbook. If you guys aren't aware, it's all about the swapsies. All about being able to use a summoner spell while your main one is on cooldown. Cooldown's in the background. You can only switch to a summoner spell once, and then you have to go to 3 others where you can go back to it, but you always keep the cooldown ticking down of your main summoner, which in this case, the teleport and the flash.
Already a bit of a skirmish here into the bottom side. Hammer gets a decimate in, but not going to be doing a whole lot of damage here to Mata and Deft so far, especially with those shields coming through on the Mordekaiser.
Level 1 is really important for both these bruiser lanes. Mordekaiser especially wants to be building up his passive and walking in and pushing the wave. Is able to do that just fine. But for now, as Deft is trolling us by canceling autos, the sound still comes in, so that's tilting. Score on the bottom side. If you notice, there is a red ward on where the Scuttle Crab spawns on top side. They're also able to claim the bot lane Scuttle. The Scuttle counter over at SpoTV, and while we don't have that at OGN at the moment, what that tells you is the power of the Scuttle after all the buffs. It's something you need to keep track of. First blood on that side, the side of score.
Slow start so far. See where the action is going to explode from here in this game. I'm happy that we don't have something like the Braum mid coming through this time around. Press F to pay your respects to FLICKR, who had to play that yesterday.
A lot of people had a lot to say about
Tarek,
that.
rather.
Tarek in that time, you're
Yeah.
correct. A lot of people had a lot to say. Worth noting, they tried Yasuo, and that didn't work in the previous game, so I think SKT are kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Speaking of damned if you do, damned if you don't, the lane has been frozen, and now there might be a turret dive onto the Rockman. Seems like they're going to not go for it, but there was always that potential.
Always a bit of a risky one there. If you want to go in onto the Malphite, it's been quite some time since we've seen a Malphite. Smeb bringing it back in.
Smeb been a pretty hard man to research. A lot of his accounts are shrouded in secrecy, understandably, and you never know how much to read into things. Malphite was a big pick brought out by his opponent, Keen, in the regular season, the end of last spring, specifically as a counterpick to Camille. That was a Trinity Force Malphite on the day. Sent a lot of Trinity Force top. Darius is now a Trinity Force user. Very interesting to see which way he goes, because I imagine if you go full tank, you slowly lose to Aatrox as he gets more lifesteal. I think Titanic Hydra Rageblade will be able to outdeal Malphite pretty easily. There is an argument you build tank and then just make the teleports work. So wait and see what the decision is here. Sunfire Cape will be the obvious choice for Smith.
I want to see the Luden's Echo. Let's go.
Maybe Malphite is not a 0% likelihood of happening. You can say that KT have basically no sustained damage and only magic damage, so a bit more burst can't necessarily hurt. But they are definitely a low damage target to me. It's kind of a weird thing to talk about, but target selection for score could be very important, taking down the target who is sapped by the Trundle ult. Speaking of being sapped, Tucson taking a trade here.
Gonna get flailed back in there. Flayed back in. Goes down to about half HP, but he's got the potions running. They have the relic shields as well, so should be okay. Spirit at the moment. Sitting in the Dragon Pit. Ward is thrown down there onto that Dry Brush. In the meantime now, Score arriving into the top side. Gets the pillar in onto Keen, but can only get a couple smacks in. Otherwise, we'll have to go ahead and exit lane. Spirit now making his way in. Don't think he's been spotted yet. Still just hovering around the bottom side, but not seeing any room to really commit in for a fight yet.
And very hard to have enough damage to take someone down in a game like this.
Well, that's what it needs to be, down to the bottom side. Death is going to go really low. Doesn't have the ultimate yet there, does Kramer, but they're still going to be able to get that first blood coming through as Tucson picks up the first blood down. TP comes in, 2 members arriving. Keen and Kuro both come through. They get the stun in onto Yukal. He flashes away, makes his way back in underneath the turret safely. A 1-for-1 exchange, but Afreeca got to get that first blood bonus.
But it's a significant pile in. Afreeca do bring in their top laner on top of their mid laner, as Malphite the only one not to join. We're going to watch the replay. The moment that the Apprehend came in, Deft is like, I can't actually click on the Lantern to get out. It takes a lot of damage. Can turn, can actually do quite a lot of damage returning. So it ends up 1-for-1 overall. The only increased investment from the side of Afreeca is that extra teleport from the top lane.
The summoners, both of them, out of Yukal as well, so now going to be a bit more susceptible to ganks in the mid lane. So Kuro can get a lockdown, 1 stun, and then the dash in from Spirit should be able to lock him down long enough to try to pop him.
At a moment to check the solo queue account of Smeb, and he has the one Trinity Force and Sunfire Cape Malphite game. So, seems like he is taking inspiration from his lane opponent today in Keen. Played that in pro play. First person I saw do that was over in the LPL, was Gimgoon. So, Korean top laners have the Malphite thoughts going through their heads.
Keen roaming down. Spot out score there, just for the moment, as that red buff gets taken. Walked over reward though, score knew it was safe. Now it's just going to be the wave clear games here in the mid side, as they go back and forth.
Again, I already alluded to the stamina required. We're going to have some really long team fights as this game goes on.
I'd like to remind you that we both cast that 94-minute long game, so I think I'll be okay.
That was more about quantity rather than length team fights. Shouting for 35 seconds of play-by-play doesn't sound easy. Thankfully not my responsibility. But yes, taking one person down is going to take a while, and when that one person goes down, the dominoes start to fall. Both teams have the outnumbering or the reset potential, with Darius and Mordekaiser on the rift for a 6v4 or the potential for the resets. So first kill is going to be fleeting, but definitely quite important. Yukala has swapped over to the exhaust, as we can see, while his teleport is on cooldown.
He's trying to keep himself safe. Has a stopwatch as well. Should be all right. He's going to have that lifesteal coming through as the Swain, so unless there's going to be about a 3-man pile in, he should be safe at the moment, even if Kuro can land that stun.
Going back to my earlier thought about whether Smeb could go full tank against Aatrox, I feel like going full tank in the Conqueror meta is almost impossible, because Conqueror alone means you can itemize your natural AD and also have effective armor pen and the true damage. So maybe you have to go Trinity Force. Maybe you have to have brawling options and to abuse the attack speed decrease on your E, because otherwise I think you just can't lane. You have to teleport and make every engage happen. So just thinking out loud, given that Nose Keen took the Conqueror and the current meta really rewards the ability to scrap.
Roam up here from Mata. They saw that Kuro was out of vision, wanted to make sure they could safely protect Yukal and score as they were taking that blue buff. Throw down the pink into the Dragon Pit. Looks like it's not clipping. Oh no, it is clipping that ward in the backside.
And just controlling a ward is usually enough to force further face check and other
hidden by the terrain. But yeah, that one will be blocked out now. The Dragon going to be taken. So looking at the first one of the game here, at about 9.5 minutes, all of KT going to pile in, and Kramer just running back from base. So no chance of a contest here from the side of Afreeca. So Mountain Drake will just be going over to KT for free.
The advantage of having the Mordekaiser is that Mordekaiser will win the push war against basically every bruiser. Happily walk up while Darius has a Q to AoE push. Mordekaiser has multiple abilities, and that does mean he controls the wave. So a Mountain Drake, a nice reward for KT, is clearly the first couple of days have been something of the meta seeming to be super short, the meta getting longer, and when you get that Drake with Mordekaiser, this is the frustration.
Yep. So it's going to come through. They're going to actually invest the box here onto Tucson.
They just want to get the turret.
Shadow dash away. Yes, still getting those hits in. Dragon now going to be tanking up the turret shots. They'll kite back. Spirit is hovering nearby to try to turn this around.
You can see the strength of the Drake, though. It's so tanky that you can actually use it as a pseudo-minion wave before your minion wave comes. That's why they were happy to take the trade. If Taunt is down, they can walk up. So nicely done by Deft and Mata. They won't get the turret from this, but when they ran the Bruise Bros combo of Mordekaiser Orin in their last series, it was all about them doubling down on Russia's good counter jungling on the top side by just winning lane straight up with a single kill. This is with no kills. They've almost got the turret.
Yeah, it's not a a flashy game so far. There's just been the 2 kills going through, one on either side. But KT are pressing their advantages, getting that Dragon, and now looking to force the first break in the bottom lane. Smeb keeping up very well here as far as the CS is concerned, just 2 behind Keen as he tries to get some damage in. Right now, just going to have the Derm's Fist.
Aatrox only really takes off when he can abuse Rage Blade super hard. The fact that his W will either double heal or double down on the damage is a really big thing when he starts to trade, so that's a future thing to come through for the Aatrox. But in lane, he has the ability to control wave quite well with his E. Not going to get pushed in. Very much a slow farming phase for Keen, and that suits the Malphite, who can struggle in some lanes. This is not one of them.
So Gonna be slow and steady here. You're not getting that turret on the bot side. KT just gonna go back to steady laning. Try to chip away at it. Only a couple hits really necessary to take that one down. In the meantime, Deft coming back into lane, has that Rylai's Crystal Scepter ready to go.
Got the Targons early, so the income for Mata has been a bit higher than the income for Tucson in this laning phase. The Rylai's with the second Drake, if they could pick up an Inferno, would be oh so sweet. Almost impossible for them to actually take the turret, even though it's looking low. They'll need Trundle to come down and to outnumber, or they'll need a second Drake, so it's going to take a lot of time to take down, what, 300 to 400 health points of turret. Both Apprehend and Taunt can ruin their day under turret, and there's no incentive for Kramer and Tucson to use those abilities outside of that scenario. They're slow and steady when it comes to the bot lane. They'll be happy with that. The Drake stacking would also be the good sign. We've seen quite a bit of Mordekaiser this season. 3 games from Prey, now 2 games from Deft. It's so obvious what a good and a bad Mordekaiser game looks like. If they're getting the Drakes, it's going well. If they're not, they're probably losing.
Charging their way in, the Lantern comes down. Nobody gonna grab that one, but the box comes in. Got a dash away there from Tucson. Apprehend, pulling Deft in. It's a bit of damage there. From that Decimate, he's gonna go down, and Spirit finds the killing blow. As Kramer keeps pushing forward, still gonna be relatively healthy. Some healing back in. TP's gonna be canceled in the end. No top laners joining in, but will be the 1 for 0 there for the Afreeca Freecs.
Good focus coming through from the side of Afreeca. Take down the Mordekaiser. Stop the ability for there to be a ghost in this scenario. Get down bot. They're not even forced to use something like the Shen ultimate because there wasn't enough damage done on either of their members. Mata tried a big play, but wasn't able to hit the death sentence. Nice counter gank timing from Spirit. He's in the right place at the right time. That was the story a few days ago. That is the story today.
It's an odd start. No one going for the Lantern. Then outranges it.
Then Spirit comes in, and they're able to focus down one member. That member is Deft. Kura on the front foot again. They had a more decisive teleport timing and was available to the enemy. The top laners just waste their TPs in general. Return to...
Some things never change.
That's true. Return to a bit of normalcy. Some items are completed, but the agenda for KT was get a pick and get the bot lane turret, unleash Mordekaiser and Thresh on the map. Specifically the Thresh, of course, is the strongest when the outer turret is still up, but he's able to roam. The roam timing's delayed a bit longer unless he wants to skip around now with his boots of mobility.
See what he wants to do, but 2-1 at the moment here. Afreeca, a very small lead amassed for them. 500-600 gold so far. If they lose that first tower, though, that will surge KT forward. Give them the lead.
My read is that KT needs to play this neutral focus game because in terms of pure damage, it seems like Afreeca have significantly more. They have Anivia, Camille, Darius. I'm not even mentioning the Aatrox, whereas for KT, it's a bit more situational. It's about the shred of the Trundle and focusing down one member. So an objective focus game from KT. Control wards on objectives, getting the Drakes and using the Mordekaiser Drake Ghost in order to push. Need to play that structure game, need to play from ahead as almost every Mordekaiser comp represents. Stalled a little bit, but Infernal is certainly massive prize for both teams.
Have that control ward thrown down in the pit. Infernal spawning now in 20 seconds. And there's 4 members of KT on this side of the map. TP's not available for either top laner yet, nor for Kuro, so he would have to roam down.
Double Relic Shields back, you walk up and both sides sharing gold always sounds very comical.
Kuro actually just recalled, so he's coming through the base now. Smeb is already in the mid lane, so KT looking to secure this with a full 5 members.
Fringo desperately want to delay because of the greedy choice of Kuro to go for that recall. KT can't have full information on that, but Drake's already super low.
Down to half. Keen coming in from above. Kuro's still always away, but he gets stolen away. Spirit dashes his way straight into the pit. Spites that one out. Ultimatum comes down, but he is going to get popped. In the meantime, now the fight's breaking out outside. Ucal rather, going to get shredded down as Kuro picks up another one here. 3-2 for the Afreeca Freecs as they keep pushing forward, looking for another one. Tucson, one shot, will go down, but here comes Kramer. Shuts out Deft, looks for another one, just needs to get in range of Score, but the pillar buys him so much distance. Has that blast cone, the lantern thrown down as well. Score says, damn it all, I don't need it. I'll get myself out of this sticky situation. 4-3, Afreeca come in, snipe that Infernal Drake right under the noses of KT Rolster.
And that is the most significant thing to talk about, the fact that the Drake did go the way of Afreeca, because if KT got the Infernal, got the Drake Ghost, it would have helped them in the fight. So very nicely done by Spirit, who has been on point this season. He goes down very early. The taunts from Tucson, the first one 3-man, the second one, he actually skirts around the side and gets a second taunt on multiple members. That is a team fight Shen if I've ever seen one. Crucially, Yukal got in the middle of the fight but didn't use his stopwatch in time. Still has it available. Couldn't get it down in the middle of the fight. Score doesn't die. Not sure what the communication there between Score and Mata, but doesn't die regardless. They back away. But KT not getting the Drake, not doubling down on their neutral advantage is a big win for Afreeca.
Yeah, it is. And now they're going to be up about 1,000 gold. That Infernal Drake just going to be helping out considerably, especially with Keen and Kramer here as the items start coming online. Kuro has 4 stacks on that Rod of Ages. The tier's still building up, so it's going to be a little bit longer before he has a massive amount of AP. But first brick still on the table. KT will bounce back from that loss at the Dragon. They get that first tower, but it will be very swiftly answered by the Afreeca Freecs in the top lane, and they're going to get the Rift Herald.
This percentage play by Afreeca, they packed up, they sent their dual lane top as Rift Herald was started, looking for a 2-for-1, knowing that Deft and Mato be looking for that turret. Score was on the bot side to try to help with the turret take, so Score was actually out of position. He needed to be top side, trying to help with the Rift Herald and also the top turret. Speaking of Rift Herald, it's leashing a couple of times. How much more patience for Shelly?
Been there into the corner. Keen finishing off the red buff, not really joining in with his team. Teleport is available, but he's just going to stick around at the bottom side. But Shelly, she's had enough of this. She's going to go back into the pit. Keen now channeling the teleport. KT kite their way up towards the top side where they do not have that tower anymore. They're still keeping this one in combat. Hit into the back. We'll chunk her out even more. 3,600 HP right now. They're trying to release her back into the pit, but now she's chasing down all of the members of Afreeca Freecs. And we have one of the longest standing battles in front of a Rift Herald that I've ever seen. And there we go. Reset all over again.
Double reset. So much damage pumped into this objective. But KT say, we need to fight around neutrals. That's all we can do with this comp. They leash it a third time.
I love it. Dark Flight out of the backside of the pit there from Keen, keeping himself safe. Down to about half HP now. Shots coming through. Spirit, can he do it again? Go ahead, jumps for it. Ultimatum comes down, but he is going so very low. They jump on the depth. He gets some healing back in, but he'll get finished off as Kramer yet again executes the Mordekaiser. Looking for more. In the meantime, Mata taking matters into his own hands, finds a double kill. Yukal finishes off Kramer, and KT can probably finally kill this Rift Herald.
Able to win this fight because they spent so much time wasting in the front onto Deft. Deft goes down, but in the back line, able to trade up a KT Rolster. They do get the Rift Herald, but damn if it wasn't close. So you watch the replay here, and honestly, everyone would have had their eyes on a different part of the map, so much was happening. They turn on to Keen, stop Shen from getting into the fight, but they sacrifice Deft in the front line. Consider that Yukal gets the maximum value out of his ult. Alone, he's able to take down Kramer and also buy all this time. So it's a 2v1 on the bot side from Yukal. Much better use of the Swain this time out. That's what just about gets them over the line.
These fights are just absolute messes. Disgusting. Great hook as well from Mata, interrupting Spirit as he tried to jump in. Stopping him, helping keep Deft alive for a little bit longer. Had that stun connected, he almost certainly wouldn't have been able to get any additional damage into that fight. But now we're dead even. 33.5 on both sides. A Dragon apiece and another Infernal on the way in 1 minute and 25 seconds.
Again, to me, that suits the comp of Afreeca. Can't be 100% certain. My calculations aren't quite what they were last season because the comps are evolving and we may never see Aatrox, Camille, Anivia, Darius, and Shen.
Are they evolving or
again.
Devolving?
You know, a bit of column A, a bit of column B. There's still intricacies, but sometimes the team fights are 5 burly men running at each other. Speaking of burly men, Daddy Yukal, 5,138 damage. Most of that zoning Kramer and Kuro, which, whatever you say about roles, are the 2 big carries for this team. So definitely job well done by Yukal that time out.
He's putting in the work here. It's still working on his items. So it's only going to get more and more terrifying as those come through, especially if KT can get that next Infernal Drake. We'll see how they're going to prep this one. Right now, Smeb hovering down around the mid lane. He has his TP available. He can afford to go back top. Catch that wave, maybe even push it into the tower and try to knock that one down. In the meantime, Rift Herald going to be summoned into the mid lane.
Gonna go for
Mata
the...
and Def try to escort this one into the tower.
Yeah, it's just a bit of a safety move. They just desperately want this mid lane tower, but with the wall, this is actually going to be pretty hard to pick up. Shelly's going to get her charge in, but they're not going to get the structure, so it's a pretty low percentage Rift Herald when Anivia knows where you're going to be. Hook goes
Coming
wide.
through, not going to find it. Troll Ward thrown down by both sides there in that brush.
Here's the second Infernal. KT once again. We know what this comp is about. They want to fight here.
Dragon going to get started up. Spirit throws that control ward down into the backside of the pit, so they have vision on the HP here. They know just how low it is, but it's like they're not even going to go for it this time around. They want the mid tower instead, so Infernal over to KT. Tying up that objective count here.
Only Malphite can really engage. Nice wall stops Yukov coming in. That means Lantern is down.
Gets that one out. They have the Dragon here to push forward. Might just be a trade on these mid towers.
They don't actually want to give any health on the Drake just yet. They could have gone for just a single couple of autos, but decide to keep it full health and wait for a minion wave. So extended trade coming here.
He's waiting over the wall.
Taunt flash available.
Got to spot him out.
Really good play from Score. His job was to see what the flanking position was on the Shen.
Mata can go wide.
Drake alive for now, but only a 200 health points, so will die. See the struggle when you have all these melee bruisers.
It smites it away.
Goodbye, Drake. You lived a full life.
Fuller than most. Oh, so don't get a second chance.
I need a Dragon Trainer Mordekaiser skin as well.
That'd be great.
I know.
People have been saying that ever since the changes. It's been a while now. It's going to be a taunt in, though. In on a score. They're trying to pile in, get rid of that Trundle. He is just going to get melted down as they try to answer one back. Tucson will fall. Going golden there is Spirit trying to stay alive. Here comes Kane. Finds one. Looking for more. They'll take down Mata. Kane still dashing away, but Yukao, Big Daddy coming through. Takes him out. Tries to get onto Kuro. A little bit more damage to finish him off, but he is between a wall and a hard place here as that Darius comes around the side. Kramer chunks him out. They'll get the passive away from Kuro, but in the end, Afreeca Freecs coming out on top of the ace.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Anivia, who won this team fight alone. Watch as it happens. They get the constant CC onto the Trundle, then watch how long the bruisers have to sit because of the wall. They are sitting on the Anivia ultimate for 6, 7, 8 seconds. So much AoE damage. I really hope OGN will leverage the damage numbers in this fight. Kuro won it straight up, and that is the power of Anivia. Whenever there's a bruiser meta, she has the wall, she has the constant CC, and while it looked like Yukal was still going to be able to be a big factor, this was all outnumbered. Kramer only just got there at the end.
Yeah. Showed up the tag in, so thank you very much for that kill. Just gets his participation badge in the end. But 10-9. Only a 2.3 thousand gold lead here for the side of the Afreeca Freecs.
I really like to watch Smeb and Keen run at each other now and see how the trades go. Now that the items are complete, Trinity Force Sunfire to Rageblade Titanic Hydra. I'm on the Aatrox hype train because I believe Rageblade is just dirty on that champion.
KT looking to take this final outer tower. Will be able to do so. Kuro's wave clear is good, but it's not that swift. So finds that pop. It's going to allow them to claw their way back in here a little bit with that gold deficit.
Ooh, shakalaka.
As Smeb just goes ahead and smacks that poor defenseless Scuttlecraft.
Don't often see attack speed on a Malphite, but with this new Trinity Force build and build on Stinger, get to see some fun things.
And there it is.
That is a tremendous amount of damage, about 60-65% of his team's damage.
It looked like Yukal was doing a lot of damage, but Kuro did more.
And consider, again, that Darius wasn't there until one person was left. That lets you know how much lifting Anivia did.
Well, 1-0-8 here for Kuro. Hasn't been getting the final hits, but certainly has been participating here. It's 9 out of 10 kills he's been a part of.
It's so hard for him not to. The wall, the stun, just Anivia's kit counters most of what KD want to do. That's why we were saying you got to play around objectives. You don't do it perfectly, that is the result. Objectives are really only where there's open spaces enough. Chasing Kuro into spots like this with the right cavalry coming in for his team can be deathly. It's almost like a team playing against the godlike Rumble comps that we used to see in the past, because these narrow choke points are definitely free food for an Anivia teamfight win.
A godlike Rumble, Smeb certainly going to be one of the ones that comes to mind.
People playing in solo queue, it's not really super high power level, but it is certainly considered. I believe there's buffs on 8-12, so maybe that'll be the invitation. We don't have Marin anymore, so Smeb is our god tier Rumble player. Hopefully we'll see it next patch. One of my favorite champions. But for now, we go back to playing side lanes, which I think is advantage Afreeca. We're getting closer to the late game, which I believe is advantage Afreeca. Reminded of the last Mordekaiser meta many, many years ago, Worlds 2015, right after the Juggernauts were changed, and it was champions like Gangplank at the time who had the full power barrels, and the Anivia now, who controlled space. That just means that Deft has nowhere good to stand in a team fight. Using the Lantern on him doesn't feel great. You have to use it pretty early. He walks up, gets walled behind, can't really do anything. He's 0-5. The Anivia really alone just completely messes with his day.
Well, so far, it's been farm fest since we had that last fight. KT, what is going to be the next move? Trying to swing their way back into the driver's seat of this game.
How about a Drake to fight around?
You know, sure, why not? I wish it was another Infernal, but it'll just be an Ocean. So maybe there won't be that much of a fight around it.
See if KT can find a way to stop the pitfalls the last 2 to 3 fights that have been answered by Anivia. Once again, they leash. This is all their comp can do. Can they bait a wall? Can they bait an important cooldown from the side of Afreeca?
Well, it's going to be Tucson getting dragged back in there. Kyle trying to poke him out. Shen's still going to be very tanky. Some HP back from the Honeyfruit as well.
They know where Yukal is. Yukal, of course, looking for a big flank to get maximum value out of his ultimate. Not going to get it. Moves to the team.
Dragon down to 2K. Wall comes through. Hook in. On to Keen. And yet again, Spirit will steal away that Dragon score. Has to flash over the wall. Now Deft going low. Yet again, the target. The dunk comes through. Kramer taking him down. He's still going to be alive and in the fight going forward. Looking for another one. Double kill over as he finishes off Mana, the bot lane. Decimated. Go ahead, finds a third as Keen gets that killing blow. Yukal completely cut off, nowhere to go. The wall just locking him in. And that is going to be another ace here for the Afreeca Freecs. Only lose Spirit, but he picks up another miracle steal.
They just counter the enemy comp in every way. What did I say when we were starting off the broadcast? I think Afreeca will win because of their drafting ability, because of how smart they are. And in this case, there's just nowhere for Mordekaiser to go. 3-man engage on the Darkflight from the Aatrox. The first dunk comes in, Deft dies first, as he has done every single fight. And you run out of damage. You need the Mordekaiser to be walking around, throwing down his W, having a ghost to help you out. He ulted the Shen just so he could get a ghost. They said, Shen doesn't have items. Let's kill somebody to make it a 6v4. It's never going to be a 6v4. It's never going to be a KT win.
You just see the desperation right there from Yukal, just clicking around. Please, God, let me find a way through this ice wall. Just can't get it in the end. Now 15-10, Afreeca surging forward in the gold as they pick up that Baron. First and very likely last one of the game, given the finish times that we've seen from several of our series so far this week.
All we need is more Afreeca. It's only their second match of the season, but this is the team that I want to see play against Tariki. I want to see them play against every cheese strategy because they'll show us something new every time. Swain did his best, did his darndest as Yukal, who sometimes has to deal with some of his teammates misplaying. I don't think Deft's misplayed this game. I think the comp is just awful for him to deal with. So misdraft, you could argue. But Afreeca ahead of the curve. They have more damage. Their side lane wins as well because they have Aatrox going for a snowball banner just to have another thing to force Malphite into a side lane. Speaking of banner, how about a couple? Darius has one. Shen has one. We got 3. Maybe we could have some more.
Why not? Let's just go for a full 10.
Sure.
Great.
It is, remember, the love letter to banner. We won't have banner in patch 8.12.
This is true. 2 of them there firing away in onto the turrets. We're going to throw down that pillar as they try to catch him onto Tucson. Shadow dashes his way out, keeps himself alive. Smeb can get locked down here. Spirit throwing in that Hextech ultimatum. Smeb down to half HP now. Can't trade back any damage here, even with that Triforce. He's going to go low. Does he have to use the ult? Yes, he does. And Unstoppable Force will take him out. gets the Lantern to safety, but the turret has been destroyed. Afreeca keep pushing forward.
Situational awareness, great from Afreeca. The call from Spirit is, let's just get on to Smeb. At worst, he will not be able to use ultimate effectively. They're very smart at not clumping. Now Smeb's in base. Base is going to be broken. Afreeca push full.
Inhibitor going to be taken, and Afreeca might not have to stop here. They could just go for the fight as they jump in, and Mata just disappears. Kramer deleting him with another decimate. Now looking for you, Call. All that regen doesn't amount to much when Afreeca is this far ahead. Another one in the grave as Kramer just keeps dunking heads, cutting them off. Tower's gonna fall, Nexus gonna follow suit. Afreeca closing this one out. Just over 32 minutes. KT, see how they can bounce back in game 2, but when this game took off, it went hard for the Afreeca Freecs.
Absolutely. They needed to get snowballed on, I think, for KT to win. We kept outlining they need to find around objectives. That's all KT have. They need to monopolize the Drakes. That's all KT has. Let's flip those statements. Afreeca has everything but. Afreeca has everything but. They were able to make some very smart moves. They were able to get ahead, and from there, KT had nothing. Great draft, great execution. Love the Anivia, which was effectively a blind pick, but it answered an entire team comp of bruisers, and Afreeca Freecs stays one step ahead of the competition.
Go ahead and get a look at that final fight. Mata just didn't stand a chance, even with his legendary pick of the Thresh. Just not enough to keep him alive. Not an appeal either here for depth on the Mordekaiser.
But he's more. He doesn't want peel. He wants to fight. He wants to get in there. Sadly, that was also the way Afreeca would win every fight. That lets you know there were issues before we even loaded it.
Too much CC.
Definitely.
For that Mordekaiser. He's actually one of those ones that you can say, yeah, just CC him and he'll die. And you're actually being correct.
He has a little bit less untargetability than the Master Yi that people facetiously talk about there, or Katarina, when she's at her highest power level. Afreeca Freecs are at their highest power level. To me, the best team we have seen in LCK. I was looking forward to this one. Looking forward to them against Gen G as well. KT could still come back. They have wonderfully talented players. They don't have to roll out the Mordekaiser again. And I would recommend, perhaps, let's see Plan B from KT Rolster.
Well, top of the charts there is Kuro. Not much of a surprise there, as we just steadily tracked all of those team fight damage charts going through the game. So he comes out on top. Yukal not that far behind, but could not carry KT over the line. Now it comes down to game 2. We'll see if KT can win the next 2 straight to pick up that victory, claim first place. Or if Afreeca are going to be able to go ahead and shut this one out with a 2-0.
Afreeca Freecs close to going to MSI. They want to go to Worlds. Let's see how they do in this game number 2. The start of the season's been pretty hot.
So far, seems like the trajectory is pretty good for the Afreeca Freecs. See if the draft is going to be just as strong in game number 2. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have that next match for you.
Me